we're speaking with Armin Brott, who's a best-selling author of parenting books.
We are going to be talking about the social struggle of trying to be a good dad.
And that can't be that much of a struggle.
You know, it is a big struggle.
Really?
There are all sorts of little things that happen that really get in the way of fathers being able to be involved with their kids. We come into fatherhood, a lot of us, feeling very uneasy and helpless, and all it takes is a couple little things that kind of set you over the brink. But I remember just from when I was a brand new dad, before I even started writing any of these books, I was working in business, and my wife was pregnant with the first one, and there weren't any resources. That's one of a huge obstacle, is you can't get any resources, you can't get any information. And then when the baby came, I started reading to her from the very beginning, and it was like, mom, 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 is your mama a llama, and all these things with moms, and which is fine. That's all very important, but I'm thinking, I'm a stay-at-home dad here. There's not a thing in here for me. What's going on? And then there was like at work, I had to occasionally bring my 6-month-old into the office a few times because I couldn't get a sitter. And it was insane. It was all this Mr. Mom stuff, and you're not serious about your career, and which is why I eventually quit in a huff over that. It got to be too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was like the signature event, I think, which kind of pushed me from my business career into the writing thing, which was I'm at this park playing with my little daughter and pushing her on a swing. And a few feet away, there's a slide. So this other little girl comes across, she climbs up to the top of the slide, and she's standing there. She starts to kind of fall, and she's falling backwards down the stairs. So, like a normal person, I go reach, kind of grab over there, put her on the ground. And this woman comes over and swoops her up and gives me a dirty look, and she says, "Did he hurt you?"
Oh, no.
I thought,
Can you believe?
Really?
that's not what I'm looking for as far as support.
no.
This is not.
And if you'd been
this
a
is not
woman, it
helping.
would have been thank you.
Yeah.
But just because you were a man.
Yeah. And then I started talking to other guys. It really completely floored me that would happen. And I wrote an article about that, and it was in the New York Times Magazine, and I got hundreds of letters from people. I mean, guys who were saying things like, I'm in the bathroom, and there's a little kid comes into the bathroom, and he's peeing, and he zips part of his shirt tail up in his zipper. And I wanted to help him,
Yeah,
but
you can't.
oh no,
Yeah.
can't do
Yeah,
that.
you can't risk
Yeah.
that.
And I heard from other guys who would say, I was at a park, similar kind of a thing. My kid falls down, skins his knee, and the cops are there. What is that about? And I had an experience going into the bathroom with my 2-year-old daughter. Came out, and I'm greeted by the store manager, who informs me that if she ever sees me going into the bathroom with a girl again,
Oh,
I can't come back in the store. I'm thinking, excuse me.
yeah.
Would you say that to a mom who brought a 2-year-old boy into the women's bathroom?
Really? Yeah.
No. What am I supposed to do with
and a 2-year-old
her?
needs to be supervised in
Yeah.
there.
You can't
just
You
send
can't
her
just
in
say,
there
go
by
on.
herself.
I think
No.
the bathroom thing is a tough one. It's a tough
That is
one for
hard.
us when we have boys who are too old to go into the women's, but too young to, it's one of those things where
There
it's
is a weird
really
area.
kind of a weird
Well, you
Especially-
area.
can,
yeah.
if you're someplace you could see somebody who looks like a trustworthy soul, could you take my kid in
Yeah, but
for you?
that's still-
But that's still a little,
weird.
Yeah.
a little odd. Well, your kids.
But
may
you're
not
right. I
go
think
for
there
that.
is, we were talking about when my son was in kindergarten, safe strangers. So if you find yourself in trouble, find a quote unquote safe stranger, and the safe stranger was mother with child in tow.
But see,
and
there's
they
no
were-
reason why it couldn't have been a father with a child in tow. Also,
Right,
That
but
we
that's
these
what I
kinds
was
of
just.
the stereotypes that get into our heads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really do nothing but harm each other.
Yeah.
Because what ends up happening is, almost every guy that I talked to who had problems like this ended up just sort of backing away from going to places. They don't want to take their kids to the park because they don't want to be laughed at, or they don't want to
Yeah.
be looked at with suspicion.
Yeah.
Guys tell me they're at a park, there's no bathroom. So they have to go behind a tree with their little daughter who's, and then all of a sudden they're looking around thinking, oh my God, somebody's going to see me, and there's a girl with her underwear around her ankles. What else are you supposed to do? But just the suspicion and the fear that there is, it really does have a huge impact.
Let me ask you this, though. I mean, do you feel like since your first child was born, do you feel like there's been some changes? Do you feel like it's gotten better?
I think it is much better than it was. I mean, I think there's not quite the same sort of craziness about the bathrooms. I mean, you and I were talking about this before. There's changing tables
I
now in
know.
the men's bathrooms, which
Yeah,
is
right.
Jeff was always
You
like,
know.
sorry, I can't change the baby at the restaurant because there's nowhere
Yeah.
to do it. It's only in the
And
ladies' room.
that was a hard thing for single fathers or for guys who were
Right.
out with their kids, and you don't want to change your
Yeah, if
kid
you
on
are
the
a single
bathroom
dad
floor.
and you don't have,
No.
and
Yeah.
yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Mm.
But things are so they're better in that way. There is a little bit more of an acknowledgement that men need to have these things, otherwise they can't do it anyway.
Right.
And there is a little bit more social support, and with more and more families where mom and dad are working, there's more of a push to have dads get more involved, and so society's kind of lightening up a little bit. But there still is this suspicion.
So my husband always really wanted to be home when the kids got home or close to it, so he could participate in the after school activities that they do. So his answer was to go into the office at 6 a.m. and then get off at 4 p.m. But he ran into all sorts of problems, even though he was still putting in that 8-hour workday.
Yeah.
Wanting to leave that 1 hour earlier so he could be home with his, was hard. I mean, it was one of those things where it just was not acceptable to the workplace.
Yeah,
and
taking your job seriously.
Yeah, I'll give you just a horrifying little statistic. There was a study that was done fairly recently looking at 1,000 HR directors and CEOs, and they asked, how much time is it reasonable for a new father to take off after the birth of his baby? 40-something% of them said none. I mean, that is awful that that's going on.
That's amazing.
And so it's hard. And I remember I was doing a lot of research for one of my other books about work and family stuff, and talking to some guys, and it's guys who were having similar experiences to your husband. And they were saying, well, it's okay for me to say I'm going out for a beer with my friends, which is what I have to say when I'm going to the soccer practice, because otherwise they'll think I'm being wimpy and I'm not serious about my career. So you can go have beer, that's fine, but you just can't go to the soccer game.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We could talk about this.
Delighted.
Yes, we could.
For more about Armin and his books, check out our website, mommycast.com.
Mama, don't you know you keep the whole world turning round? And action.
Really?
All right. Go.
Okay.